Hello and welcome back. All right, so in this lesson, we're going to go over the quick mask mode, and you can access this particular selection tool either with the icon right here or by using the keyboard shortcut, which is the letter Q. There's two different ways that you can use this tool. You can use it as a standalone selection tool, or you can use it in conjunction with one of the other three category selections because it allows you to add and remove the selection with a brush. So if we go into this quick mask mode, we can see that our layer also changes with a red color label added to it so you know that you're in that mode. Then with our brush tool, which is the letter B, we can paint with black or white. If I paint with black, it's going to add a red mask wherever I apply the brush. So this is one way of using it. You can come in here and brush around your subject and make those selections that way, and then once you move out of the quick mask mode with the letter Q, you will then be left with your selection. Now, right now, it's selecting everything but the face. So when you use the quick mask mode in this manner where you're painting with black or white, then what you're actually selecting is the opposite, because right now, everything but this area inside these dancing ants are selected, and we know this because we have dancing ants around the edge of our image, and that means that the entire document is selected except for inside of here. All right, so I'm going to undo the selection with Command or Control and the letter D, and then the way I like to use it is in conjunction with one of our selection tools over here. So I'm just going to use my quick selection tool, and I'm going to make a quick selection around the edge of our subject to separate him from the background. And then, as you know, I have to hold down my Alt or Option key in order to remove from that selection. So I'm holding down my Alt or Option key, and then I'm going to click in the areas that I need to add to the selection, and we can see that everything is being selected along the edges of those contrast levels. And then we can use our quick mask mode to use our brush tool to paint in areas of the edges that need to be fine-tuned in order to make a proper selection. I'm going to go ahead and remove some of the selection from here as well. Then I'm going to hit the letter Q to go into quick mask mode, and you can see we have a red mask, and this is part of the selection, and then everything inside of here that is red is part of the selection as well. And then I can zoom in along the edges of the subject, and then with my brush tool I can add to that selection by painting with black. If I paint with white, then it's going to remove it. So painting with white removes, painting with black adds. So I'm going to press Q again, and now we can see our selection. Everything is selected except for our subject. So the background is selected, and we can use the brush to fine-tune the selections much easier along these types of edges that are difficult to make selections on, especially with the magnetic tool or the lasso tool, magic wand tool. Using the brush along this edge of hair is easier to select versus using one of those other tools. So I can come in here and paint over the hair, and of course it's not going to get the individual strands of hair, but we can still come in and paint with white in between the hair and then make finer selections based on that size brush that we use. So when you have a lot of detail along the edges like this, using the quick mask mode with your brush is going to be a lot faster and easier versus using some of the other tools. So that's how you use the quick mask mode. There really aren't any options associated with it because all you're really doing is painting with a brush with white or black, but you can make adjustments to that brush based on these different brush options up here, which are the opacity and the flow and the smoothing. And we have gone over some of these options before, and they're pretty self-explanatory. Opacity will increase or decrease the transparency of the brush and how much is being applied. But for making selections, I tend to leave it at 100% opacity and flow unless I need to go along an edge that has a lot of detail, and the contrast between the two sides is kind of hard to see. I might decrease the opacity or the flow or both in order to fine tune my selection until I get the area that I want selected. All right, so that's it for the quick mask mode. In the next section, we're going to take a look at select and mask, which is another way to fine tune your selections when you have a lot of detail or different amounts of contrast levels along edges that you're trying to select.